a different place. Okay, I'm sharing it currently.
One moment, just one moment, because I don't know whether the stream just now works. Okay, this one works. This is the same link.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that it's the same link.
Okay. Yep, I just tweeted it and it is the correct link.
Yep, correct. Okay, awesome. I will be back here. Got it. Shall do the recording as well, in case you want to. Yeah, in case you want to have a copy. And let me share it as well. And then you're good to go. And hi everyone. I know that it looks a bit chaotic at the first, like, you know, just starting, just chill right now, you know, get your popcorns, get your snacks if you want, you know, and sit here, chill, and we'll be starting really soon. Yes. I think I'm ready. Are you ready, Ali?
Yes, I am so ready.
Yay! So yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and thank you Ali for joining me on Slice of Life on this space to talk about, share about entrepreneurship and also like how it linked with disability. And yeah, like I often see everyone like sometimes on like Twitter, like talking about disability and how the inconvenience of it, the struggles of it, as well as I believe you brought up some very good points about how it can be a blessing as well. So I would like to give a space to explore this. And yeah, Ellie, if you are okay, if you are up for it, please share something about yourself, and also your experience with managing business.
So I'm Ali, Tarot by Ali on Twitter, and I've been running a spiritual business since I was 18 years old. Also have been living with a disability for most of my life now. I was really young when I had part of my fingers amputated. And it definitely doesn't leave you emotionally unmarked, let alone physically unmarked. And I think that while there is a space to talk about disability and entrepreneurship, it's not as openly talked about as it could be, especially with everything that goes with it, because there are definitely struggles, but being an entrepreneur, there is some blessings that come with that too.
Yeah, like maybe you would like to share a little bit more on like your experiences, on how you find it as a blessing and so on. Yeah.
So for one, in the US, there's a lot of restrictions put on jobs. So a good example of that is you have to be able to lift a certain amount to have a large majority of jobs. And I cannot do that as someone that is missing fingers. And so entrepreneurship was honestly one of my only options. And when you're an entrepreneur, at times you have the decision to make your own hours. So if you're having a bad chronic pain day, or you're mentally not there or prepared, or you're dealing with something, it can be very helpful to be able to just give yourself time to be a human, a disabled human. And I think that's been really important to me in my healing journey, having to respect my needs as someone disabled.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that side of it, like and I believe, like personally, I believe that every one of us do have that mental struggle, even though like for me, I would see myself as like able person, and there are times that I still have emotional and mental traumas that just keep knock me out, and physical discomfort as well that can just knock me out, like And that is also a very helpful part, like, being an entrepreneur. And yeah, like, I really, I can really relate to that part, even though I'm not, disabled. Yeah. Just want
Yeah,
to.
some businesses that we create, it really does give us an opportunity to be able to give ourselves compassion that we may not have necessarily got if we work a 9 to 5 somewhere else. So I do think that's really important. And one thing that you wanted to talk about is mental disabilities and invisible
Yeah.
disabilities, as they are called. And these, from my understanding, are disabilities that we may not necessarily be able to see on a person when we just look at them.
Yes.
And it can be crippling for some people. And I think that it is a really good setup for this reason to be able to run a business, because for that exact same reason, you can be compassionate with yourself. And one thing that goes with it, although I may not be perfectly versed in this, is something called the spoon theory. And it speaks to the amount of energy a disabled person is able to have every day and how much they're able to accommodate. Each person has a different amount of spoons, as it is called. And there may be low spoon days, there may be a bit higher spoon days for some people. And I've definitely had low spoon days, as some people call it. And it's nice to just be able to, work slower, or maybe do a less intensive job that day when it comes to my business. Like maybe I just do mini reads, or maybe I do tipped tarot readings instead of doing full on multiple Reiki sessions that take a lot of energy, even if they are very fulfilling.
Yes, yes, yeah. That I think that is one of the very good one. Like, we can manage our time and we can manage the tasks that we would like to do, which is not a freedom that we have if we work like normal job, either 9 to 5 or retail. It is personal. I have been in retail. I have been on 9 to 5, and the demand for, the productivity, the demand for, the presence is very, very high. Like, I personally, I work in like Singapore for the last 10 years. And like, even though, like, I just want to share, it's like, even though like I'm just having like a female problem, like a period, and I was like being told that I need to be present at job and I can't sit down. Retail, okay, I have to stand at like cashier counter and just like starting to work and work very fast, especially when there's crowd. So yeah, it's like when you are in like the entrepreneurship, I can see that it helps me so much. Like if I really don't feel well that day, like even though physical discomfort is not really a disability, it's just like for the few days of the month, you still get the freedom, to take a step back and just rest and just be with yourself. And instead of being present for everyone, being present for yourself. And yeah, I can, like, that is a very good one to bring up. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I also like want to point out, like, when you are in physical pain of any sort, chronic pain, or even like your lady's pain, it is hard to be present 100% and be as high productivity as like normal days. Yeah, I think that is not addressed enough. Especially on, like, currently we see a trend on like Twitter, everyone managing the business and everyone like trying to run and run and run and comparing to each other. And a lot of times we are trying our best, even though we are dealing with like physical and emotional and mental pain. Like, I just want to bring it up as well.
Yeah, it definitely is expected for people to overcompensate. And for some disabled people, this can run you into the ground. And I mean, running a business, you are doing social media managing, you are doing accounting for some people, you're doing ad promotion, you're doing the actual work itself, you're doing the books, you're doing absolutely everything. And so it is definitely not easy to just be running a business.
Yeah.
One thing I've definitely noticed is people have a very fixed image of what disabled people should be and how they should look as business owners. And it's obviously very ableist, but it's disempowering to some point. Like we're supposed to have to be completely open about our disabilities, no matter what they are or what they stem from. And I don't think that we should be expecting that from people. People are human, you know? We don't owe everyone our life story. We don't owe everyone, you know, information about if it's our worst pain day. We should be able to just say no sometimes. And that's not expected from us. We're expected to take whatever we can get because we're disabled. Like, we need to be thankful for what we can have and thankful for people supporting us. And I am very thankful for people supporting me, but it doesn't mean I need to harm myself to do this.
Yes. I think I repeated this for still life, like past lives. Okay, it's like the bare minimum is bare minimum to make it sounds like it is, you know, the luxurious treatment or everything. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, and there's this fixed image of professionality that beyond racism and sexism is very ableist within itself. When you're a professional, you don't talk about your emotions, you don't talk about your pain, or at least that's what's expected. You aren't allowed to show up in certain attire, for example. And something about that is not all attire some people are even able to wear, depending on their class, depending on what their body is able to accommodate. And it's really tiring to see all these outdated norms when it comes to that in 2021, when there's so much information available to a large majority of how people have to present themselves. And so that definitely is something I deal with, especially as someone that comes off to other people as a woman, because I identify as non-binary. If I show any hint of chest, I'm unprofessional. If I talk about my hand or my pain, I'm unprofessional. If I take a day off, I am unprofessional. And this just isn't the reality.
Yeah, yeah, I can feel that. Yes, that I believe you brought up a very good one. Like, we have to bring some compassion into this part, like, you know, like understand that whoever that is you're dealing with, okay, whether they are physically or, you know, non-physically, they seem healthy or not, okay, like, you know, I think it would be best for us to hold, like, you know, that compassion towards them, because it's human. Like, we are all human and we are all dealing with, you know, some sort of pain now and then. Like, I can say that, like, because I'm not disabled, like, you know, in a way is that also we deal with pains, and sometimes that the pains is crippling. And if, you know, dealing with that pain, the crippling pain, is not a professional, you know, image, then what is that kind of feeling? Like, you know, that's what I want to say. If it's not professional dealing with pain, then what is? We are all
Yeah.
human.
And even beyond disability, professionality is really just seen as this one image of someone dressing in something possibly higher class or their work outfit, completely devoid of emotions, which is not human within itself. Even if you're not disabled, not everyone can show up perfect 24/7. And our idea of perfect is kind of messed up in the first place.
Totally. Yes. I have personally seen quite a lot of, like, you know, comments on, like, we like we don't allow disabled person who is managing a business to talk about their disability, and that is something very big of a warning sign for me. Like I saw it a lot on Twitter, like people attacking another person for talking about their pains, their disability, and it is like not giving them that space to be themselves. Yeah, like, you want to share something about that?
Yeah, I get insecure talking about my disability on my business page because I do not want people to think I'm guilting them, which is kind of sad because being transparent about who I am as a person isn't asking for sympathy. It's not asking for people to guilt me or like guilting them into buying my services. it's just being transparent. And it's really sad that a lot of people can't even do that, because almost every single business owner that I know is disabled. And very few of us have the courage to even talk about it because of all the connotations and expectations that come with it. It's that same dumb idea that disability looks exactly like one thing. A lot of people in my life didn't even realize I was disabled until half a year into knowing me.
Something like,
Thank you.
yeah, it's not easy at all. Like when I see, people are, usually on Twitter, when I see something like that, I'm always be like, that is something that we should address. We should, bring it up into the light, because it is a lot of like, I would say hidden ableism. Like, it's just like everyone is just like aiming, like it's not openly said so, but it's hidden. So yeah, like also I do feel that that is very disempowering to put you guys, like put anyone with disability in a box. Like everyone with disability would be like complaining about their pains, or guilting everyone else to buy their business. That in itself is very disempowering, because you can actually own your disability and just live loudly about that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just part of
Exactly.
being a human, like part of you. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of people see disabled people as an inspiration, which yes, some disabled people's stories can be inspirational, but there's a point where it's almost fetishizing, because it's not always like that. We aren't here for just public consumption and what we inspire you to do. We are human beings with very complex lives. And being transparent is hard enough, but when that factor comes in, it is very difficult, because it's already so hard and so complex to be open about your disability, because there will always be critics, there will always be someone secretly hating. And yeah.
The hate following, the hate watching. Oh my God.
And you would think that people would be kinder when it's someone disabled, but it's just not true. There's always someone questioning. There's always someone thinking or saying you're not disabled enough. If you're able to do this, this, and this, or even if you're able to run a business or anything along that, there will always be someone gaslighting you about what you know about your own life. And it's very profoundly sad.
Sorry for all that, that you have experienced, and heartbreaking to really hear about that, for real. Like,
I like to consider myself a very strong person. I mean, I've been living with my disability for a long time, but I do appreciate your compassion. It's just not talked about very much, and something that needs to be talked about more, which is why I'm doing this.
that's why I gladly holding this space, because in a way it's like I want to know, I want to understand from another perspective, because it is like, it's not in a way that I want to bring up you guys' story and like, it is inspiring, yes, but I also want to give you guys a space to really speak about this, and hopefully this conversation would allow more disabled person to step up and speak about their disability and be open about it, at least like be open about it without feeling the guilt and shame, which I do think a lot of people are internalizing that.
Very much so. And I really do appreciate you opening up this space for me. It was very kind of you, and I had a good time planning this, and I'm very thankful for how you have accommodated me. But yeah, I definitely, obviously, don't speak for everyone disabled. Being disabled can look very different for every single person. And as you said, not all disabilities are physically apparent. Many are mental.
Yeah, and mental is, yeah, like we don't even like it's a mental is kind of like we can't expect it and we can't see it, and a lot of times people would just think that the person is healthy and perfectly fine, and and continuously to be demanding or lack of compassion towards them. And I think that is something that more people should know or should be aware, that sometimes we have mental struggles, and also a lot of people are having like mental disability, and we do not know who they are, because as mentioned, not everyone is loud about that, not everyone is talking about that. In fact, a lot of people are they prefer to hide that out of a lot of different emotions that play over here, like yeah. So I'm just like, I can't even perfectly describe that. For everyone, they have different reasons and different ways that they are handling the disability, or they are showing up. They try to either show up with it, or they not trying to show up with it.
Yeah, that's why I definitely do care a lot about inclusivity, especially in spaces like this. I think it's very important because there's so many different ways to be disabled, and beyond that, there's so many identities that go along with it that are not spoken about. Like a Black disabled person is most likely not going to get the job as frequently as a white disabled person may get a job. And it's really unfortunate. So I think that it is important to open up space like we're trying to do, to talk about these things and how truly complex that they can be, even beyond my own understanding.
Yes. And one thing that I that comes to my head right now is that I do think that for us, spiritual entrepreneur, or anyone who's offering services, I think it is time that we can consider how to be more inclusive as well. Like personally, I actually really surprised to find there were clients of mine who are actually disabled, and I did not know about that, and I continue to do my sessions or my lessons for them, as normal, until I realized that, and I'm like, hey, I can actually accommodate my lesson and my sessions for them in a better way, in a more convenient way for them. Like, we don't even consider when we first started, because it's not part of our experience, you see. So yeah, I think that is something.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way we accommodate others can be ever changing too. So let's say I want to give someone a reading and it's a document. What if they aren't able to access a document beyond issues for disability? Like they don't have the internet to be able to do that. They don't have the app to be able to do that. They may not be able to see, or they may not be able to hear, or anything like that. They may have troubles with dyslexia, for example. And so I like to ask, obviously when I'm able to remember to do this, if a Word document is okay. Because I know a lot of readers, a lot of people that do Reiki, they'll also do it over audio. And I know for me personally, in my experience, I know that documents have been more accessible and more accommodating since I've been doing readings. And they also accommodate me more too as a disabled person, because I often lose track because I have very slow processing. And that stems from my trauma that my disability came from. And so, yeah, there's all these little ways that we can continually be adjusting and changing to be more accessible to a diverse population. And I think that's really important.
Definitely. Yeah, like listening to you, I was just like, oh wow, like I changed my style, my own Reiki style, from document to audio, and I really did not think twice about how that can be inconvenience for someone who maybe not able to just receive, just listen and get the information. Okay, oops.
One thing I really do want, oh, were you saying something?
I'm not sure whether I'm frozen or Ellie is frozen. So yeah, if you're here, please say hi. I see some of you watching. Okay, hi.
Okay.
Welcome back. I do not know which one of us.
One thing I did want to praise you for is the way Paige's classes are set up. I consider very accommodating to my disability and probably a lot more people than I's disability. Paige makes it so you can join the live stream, but you don't have to show your face, considering that people may be in different environments. They may look different ways. They could be insecure, anything like that. But they also record it, so you can go back to it later. You can listen, and that was very helpful throughout their class. Especially as someone that has not great processing. A lot of the time I was able to go back, and I'm still able to go back and look at these classes and write down what I need. They would stop whenever there were questions that were had to make sure that everyone was understanding to their full capabilities. Like their last class was literally just sitting all the students down to see if there was any questions that people had, anything they wanted to talk about further. And I just found it really important how you set it up, because a lot of schooling and all of that, it's not set up for a diverse amount of people. And it's set up in one learning style for a majority, and that does not work. Everyone has different learning styles, and I felt that your classes really accommodated that. And I definitely wanted to give you some praise on that, because that's the first time in a school environment I felt truly accepted and like I could just take my time and be my own person.
Oh, thank you so much. I personally think that I set this up this way is because I myself is dealing with sometimes not being able to catch up as fast. English for me is like my third language, and sometimes I would be like, hold on, what are you saying? I can't write them down. Yeah, so yeah, if there's anything that is something that I'm dealing with, so that's why I come from that space, and that's not a disability, but that is like a disadvantage for my side. Like, English is not my main language, so it's harder for me to catch it. So I would try my best to accommodate for that part, as well. Yeah. But thank you so much. Like, oh my god. I'm feeling
Yeah, of course. I can literally never stop praising you enough for your classes. I just adore them, and I recommend them to anyone I possibly can.
Thank you. Yeah. Processing. And yeah, like I think we did kind of like skip over a few things that I have written down, and one of them that I wrote down is like the mental and emotional impact on like disabled person, and especially when they're running the business. Like sometimes we are dealing with emotional and mental struggles as an able person running my own business on social media and so on. Like sometimes I can't, like I myself I find myself I can't imagine, like maybe the struggles for a disabled person could be more. Yeah, if you would like to share some points about that.
Yeah, I mean, a large majority of people struggle, but disabled people definitely can find themselves at a disadvantage when it comes to this. But depending on how the business is structured, maybe not everyone's business is structured for days off. Like I said, a lot of people are playing all of the roles in their business. But there's always ways to restructure if you are running your own business, and smaller ways we can learn to accommodate ourselves. But it's also hard to give ourselves permission to accommodate ourselves, because we expect ourselves to be running like a perfect little capitalistic machine at all times too. And as we've been talking about, everyone's disabilities look different. So some people may need to take social media breaks, or they may want to work more if they don't feel well, because they don't want to focus on their pain, or they don't want to focus on this or that. It looks so different for every person. For me, it definitely depends on how I react, like versus what is happening. You were someone that taught me, like, okay, it may not be the best to do Reiki on someone if you are not feeling your best. And that was something that I really had to ponder on, because many days I am in pain or I am not doing my best. And I kind of had to find a balance between being able to take care of myself and being able to financially take care of myself. And that balance is always in flux. And so it's definitely not the easiest. But I'm really thankful for the clients I have, because they typically do accommodate me very well if I need extra time. But one thing that I do is, well, first let me say, a lot of readers will do instant readings, and that's what a lot of people want. But I generally give myself a set amount of set period of time to do this. I'll be like, okay, I need 24 to 48 hours to do this reading. And hopefully I can get it sooner to them. But when I give myself this time, I can flourish. I can find a time that really works for me. I can let myself have emotions in the meantime. And it definitely is expected if you're a business owner, you have to get on stuff like, but we're not Amazon overnight shipping.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, how are some ways that you're able to accommodate yourself when you are feeling low as you run your spiritual business?
Okay, for that, it really depends on what kind of lows that, like how am I feeling at that moment. If I'm really unable to, like, because I'm doing a lot of like energy work and a lot of like live, or the live readings and live session. So if I'm really unable to, not in the headspace, not in that like I can't be fully present, I would actually ask the clients, okay, or the recipient, like, can I actually reschedule it? For Reiki, it's easier for me because I can still adjust the timing a little here and there. It's not a live session, but for all the live reading and so on, I would actually go in and ask, like, do you mind if I postpone this for a few hours or even a day or two? There are definitely the fear over there, when you're asking about, like, can we postpone, because there are chances, like, at least so far I have not met anyone who say like you can postpone, or if you want to postpone, I want to refund or something like that. So far I have not met anyone like that. But you will still worry. Like, I definitely do every single time I am going to ask. Yeah. Yeah, important to give yourself that space, like, take care of yourself first, because this service is that you have to you know you have to help another person. And for me, I see it's kind of like important for me to take care of myself first before I go in and take care of another person. It is like the doctor, it would be not good if the doctor goes down in the middle of treating someone else.
Very much so. I definitely find myself overcompensating a lot as a disabled business owner. If I need to take extra time, like, I'll probably offer extra cards or extra time on my Reiki. And that's probably something I need to stop doing. I need to stop feeling guilty for being a human. Like, people don't throw a fit when Amazon delays their package. They may be a little bit upset, but the expectations that business owners are held to, especially when it's a one-person business, it's crazy. These standards are set by monopolies owned by freaking billionaires. Like, I am one singular human being that is probably not even as abled as the person next to me. Of course, I'm going to need extra time sometimes. And I consistently see myself going out of my way to go above and beyond for the fact that I'm disabled. And it is kind of sad, but it's still gotten me far regardless. But I don't think that all disabled people should feel like they have to do that. And I think that it kind of goes along with guilt and shame, and that can go along with shadow work that needs to be done. one thing I have noticed as a disabled business owner is that I care a lot about ethicality when it comes to even disabled clients. Because there's definitely a line a lot of people are willing to cross when it comes to that stuff, like tarot readers that are not licensed counselors that will do readings that are on mental guidance for someone that is disabled, and they can at times be completely out of their depth. And I've definitely had to turn down a lot of readings similar to that. And I think that if people don't think about that, they don't think about boundaries, they don't think about ethicality when it comes to those things, it's very easy to start being on a not so good side of business owner.
Yes, yes, I totally agree with that. As someone who is working with Reiki, and there is a lot of times that I do come across, like, people asking, like, can Reiki heal me of this, this um disease or this disability? And I would be like, you know what, using Reiki to assist you on healing is a great way, but like, I do not want to mesh into that medical line because I'm not medical certified. Or, sometimes people might be like, using Reiki to heal like depression. And I'm just like, maybe we do not cross the line for me. Like, that is my personal, like, my ethics is that I do not want to cross that line into, the actual medical feel that they need certification, they need actually many years of studies, like, in conjunction it can help. I cannot promise that I will heal someone, or I can help someone to solve their issue just like with Reiki itself. I think that's
Yeah,
important.
definitely. Like I would never just straight up tell someone my Reiki can heal your chronic pain. I can maybe say, however, when I've done Reiki on myself in the past, I have noticed some difference in me with my chronic pain. Like I did Reiki on myself yesterday when I had a migraine, which is not what I consider my chronic pain, but it was very helpful. My friend did Reiki on me when I had a migraine, and it was very helpful. It started to go away almost instantaneously. For some people, they could say that was a multitude of things, maybe because I was meditating or something. But for me, I was doing Reiki, and that Reiki was a meditation like mindset. And
Yes.
that's my experience with it. But just because that's my experience, it doesn't mean I can speak to everyone and theirs, which not everyone can get necessarily.
Yeah, I think that is very important to differentiate, like, or at least put a disclaimer that, as a practitioner, as a business owner, like spiritual business owner, it's important to put, like, the disclaimer out here, like, we are doing this and this help with our experience, but it might not necessarily help everyone, not in the same way. Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah, that's why I preface the tarot readings and Reiki reports I do with this is not a diagnosis. This is not guidance. This is not a prognosis, anything like that. This is just some possible insight. And hopefully that can be helpful in its own way with you. And usually it is for people, but I can't speak to everyone's journey, you know?
Yeah. Just the other day, me and another friend of mine, we were just discussing about, using spiritual healing alongside with therapies. It has tremendously helped her, to deal with some of her traumas, to allow her to come into, like, fuller self, a fuller self even. So I'm here, like, this is something that I think more practitioners should take note, and more practitioners should, look into how they are phrasing their words, and, don't disencourage medical medicine therapy because you're practicing energy work. I think that is something. Yeah.
For real. And I feel like there's such a big trend on social media right now of people kind of leaning into the wacky side of spirituality when it comes to that stuff, like saying if you take your medication, you're low vibration, which is like, if you even research any of like what people say or like what the theory around vibrations is, we have to go through those negative emotions and low vibrations to even ascend or whatever it is. And some disabled people need their medications to exist. A lot of disabled people need their medications to exist.
Yes.
And it's just a very ableist mindset, even to assume that people can afford to do that too. Like, not everyone can afford to buy a concoction of roots because one person says it will help. I do personally believe in herbal healing, and that's something I want to do with my life, but there has to be a balance there. And I feel like a lot of practitioners are not ethically promoting that.
Yeah. Wow, that is a whole can of worms over there.
Very much so.
I think the last 2 days I keep on seeing this video, someone on TikTok about, if you have a dirty or cluttered house, that means your abundance is not coming in and that you are like low vibrational. And that literally made me think, there are some people who are, some disabled or, able people even, like, there are some period that we can't even bring ourselves to get up and even sweep the floor, pick things up, like we all have our struggles every now and then. Like, we should not shame just because, this is something that you practice, good for you, but it's not good to shame everyone into doing something that you do or doing something that you believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and while a majority of people probably want a clean home, a clean space, not everyone is able to do that. Not everyone is able to go and pick up all the time. Some people can be in some serious pain, and to judge them for that and to imply that they aren't spiritual or that they can't be successful for that reason, it really shows that a lot of people aren't willing to think deeper into what they're saying, and they take surface level spirituality very seriously.
Yes. Like, when I saw that, I was just like, that is a lot of things to unpack over there. Just like, ooh. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. Like, yeah, but at the end of the day, I would just want to put this note out here is that if you are unable to do or practice, spiritual, side of all the practices you do, that is okay, because it's okay to take that human day or that human hour off. We can't be perfect all the time. That goes into the perfect professionalism that I think you brought up earlier. Like, not, I would say, like, we are all perfect exactly where we are. Can we improve? Yes. Like, tomorrow we can be a better person, but at the time, take care of yourself first is the most important thing. Personally, I think so. Like, whether disabled or able person, taking care of yourself, taking care of making sure yourself, you are comfortable or at least not in like crucial pain, and still putting on that mask and show up to the world. Like, that is not the way it should be.
Yeah, and just to spin back a little, I do think some of it goes into materialism with spirituality, because they assume that people have to be doing intricate rituals with an hour of meditation before and then after a cleansing bath to be able to have it be real spirituality, when the reality is a lot of it can just be intention and action, and those intentions and actions can be what you want them to be. You don't have to go out of your way to buy a special rock to have love in your life, for example. Not everyone is able to get that, or even able to go into a store to do that, or order it online. Everyone has different experiences with that. And I think it's very odd how we have all steered materialism into spirituality so greatly. Like, our whole room doesn't have to be an altar. I mean, it's dope if you can and you can afford that, but yeah.
Definitely. Like, spiritual, for me, the more I practice it, the more I find that it is about day-to-day life, the simple thing. It's not about, your amazing tarot deck and crystal. Like, who doesn't want a giant, amethyst jar in their house? Like, we all want them. Not everyone can afford them. And I think it is important to be realistic that way as well. Yeah. That's a very good point you're bringing up, like, the materialism in spirituality.
Yeah, I also feel like there's a level of performativity that goes with it, and just spirituality and entrepreneurship in general, because at most times you have to be doing the most to get attention to your business. Even like, one thing I notice a lot, not that anything is necessarily wrong with this, like tarot readers will be shuffling their cards with a bunch of stuff in the background. I can barely shuffle cards, okay? This is not the easiest way to shuffle cards. And so that's an immediate disadvantage that I have that people don't even think about. I think it's kind of funny, luckily. And there's, as I said, there's nothing wrong with people doing that, but disabled people definitely tend to have to compensate to get that same amount of attention over little things. And then people judge them for overcompensating.
Yeah. Cuts. Like, oh my God.
Thank you.
It is tough. Like, everyone, like I spoke about this on my last live as well. It's like spiritual communities looks a lot like a competitive field. Is like who looks better, who, like, it's not about the quality of works, but a lot of times it's like who looks better, who looks brighter, who has prettier things. And I'm just like, well,
yeah. And we definitely can see on social media what is deemed as the most beautiful practitioners too. They probably are going to get the most traction, And not that anything is wrong with people being deemed beautiful, but when disabilities are demonized and these people are shamed and they're seen as weird just for existing, there's definitely some kind of difference there that's happening. And that's also where like people following or supporting disabled practitioners out of like feeling guilty happens. Like, I talk about this and they're like, oh my God, like, am I only following pretty spiritual practitioners? Then they feel bad when people like support people that are disabled or even like people of color out of you being a good person. Stop sending us these shameful vibes, because I do believe in that.
definitely. Like, also, I was thinking that if you align with the energy, go ahead and follow them. That is all good. Like, there are so many practitioner online that I follow. Is like, I just admire the presence and they are beautiful. There's no shame in that. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
follow your discernment, follow your intuition on that. Like, don't feel like you are obliged to follow anyone, like just because you're obliged to for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, like it can definitely be dehumanizing in a way, like disabled people aren't just totems. They're not just some kind of inspirational force in your life that you're like, oh my God, they're so strong. Like, yes, a lot of us may be strong, but it's just being categorized in this way. Like, we aren't even able to categorize ourselves. Like, one thing I've noticed is even I, within this conversation, I'm saying disabled people when I should be saying people with disabilities, because we aren't just our disabilities. We are whole beings. And it's hard to get that through my own mind, especially with my own disability, because I feel like it conquers my life on an everyday.
Thank you for bringing this up, and something that I can look into and change for myself as well.
Yeah, first person language. I was talking about this with my friend too. It can be a lot more helpful, because when we just put people in these labels without even realizing it, we're not realizing what we're doing. So disabled people with disabilities, and of course, different people with disabilities are going to have different opinions on that and what they wish to be called. I remember a conversation I had a while back about, actually, it was a very similar talk to this, where someone brought up they liked to use the term special needs for people with disabilities. And a lot of the room did not like that, because disabled people with disabilities are normal, you know? It should be normal, actually. A lot of people in the US have that. Like, it's just not frequently talked about because there's so much shame and guilt that can go with it for a lot of people.
Yeah. And yeah, like as you're talking about this also, like the shame and guilt is basically, stem from capitalism, where a lot of us are pricing like, able person who are able to work 9 to 5 for able to function normally, when like what is normal? Like I have been putting out this question to a lot of people, like what is normal? Why is it normal in the first place? Yeah. So yeah, like that is a very eye-opening one. Thank you for bringing it up. And hopefully, if anyone who is watching who feel like you would like us to call you in a different way, or help you to accommodate to your needs, okay, to learn a certain skills, or get a session, feel free to let us know. Like, I think it is time for us to be more open and be more accepting towards everyone.
Yeah, and everyone definitely has the right to self-define, no matter whether you deal with this specific issue or not. And this is definitely something big in the culture right now, but maybe hasn't translated as well across into this specific genre, but yeah, felt like bringing that up.
Thank you so much. I learned a lot.
Yeah, I had to call myself out there too, because I realized at the end, oh my gosh, like this entire time I meant to be using these specific words, because I feel like even for myself, they are kinder, first person, like, and then I realized at the end. But yeah, better to call myself out than say nothing at all.
True. Yeah, and it's all good. Like, I'm very grateful for you for being open and honest on talking about this as well. Like, oh my God. Processing. If you want to, bring up the next topic, go on. I'm processing over here. Like,
I think covered a lot of what I wrote down for today. So
okay, I'm like looking at my notes and so on. If there's anything I'd like to, if you have any advice for anyone who is like, anyone with disability. Okay, I think the either one of us frozen.
hello.
Hi.
Okay. Hi.
Yeah, advice.
Not per se advice, but in my experience, compassion and being a person with disabilities needs to come first for both ourselves and others. And I've mentioned that a million times, but it's hard to translate into an emotional level that we deserve what we need. And maybe for some people, being an entrepreneur can help provide that when a 9 to 5 can't. But that's not everyone. But compassion, I mean, that's at the forefront of everything, or at least I hope.
Yeah, having compassion. And yeah, like I will also say, like, for anyone who is like, able and everything, like don't I would highly recommend, like, for us to not put special, kind of like, don't see disabled person as a special that is important, and just see them as human being. Like, it's same as, I will always say, like, it's the same. We are all human. We are all team humanity. And if that if anyone with disability would like us to accommodate with them for the special need, is all good. Like, but don't just outright treat them as special just because they have this ability. I think that is something very important for us who is more able to have this mindset. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, don't be afraid to ask for the accommodations that you need, because that's the bare minimum we deserve, especially if you're running your own business.
Mhm.
You deserve to be able to do that. It is not easy work. If you need an extra day, you need an extra day. If you need an extra hour, you need that. If you need to not offer a specific service anymore, that's okay.
Yeah, that is very important for any business owner. Yes. Yeah, like wow, that is very eye-opening one. And I think I have gone through my notes. And do you have anything you'd like to add on this topic?
I actually think I'm good, and we're running out of time. We have about 2 minutes left anyways, so
It's all good. It's all good. I usually do not set a timer for this. Like, you know, longer, shorter is all good. So yeah. But if that is all covered, then Ali, I would like to give this space for you to, you know, further introduce your business, what you do, and if you have anything you like to promote, you like to share with everyone.
I am Tarot by Ali on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and I am a Reiki and tarot business. I hope to be a herbal business one day. I aspire to be a shaman, but this is my journey on the way because I also need to be supported, and this is something I have been interested in and I've been doing for a while. I grew up doing it, working under shamans and medicine men across reservations, and just studying all that I ever could. My readings are available under the thread on my Twitter. They are pinned. I offer other services like limpias, which are intended cleansing rituals. I offer Reiki, which I learned under Paige. I'm going to be a Reiki master because of them. And yeah, it's been a very beautiful journey. I'm thankful to talk about this, and I'm thankful to talk about my business because I love it.
Yay, thank you. I am thankful for you for joining me on this space and share, you know, this amazing, eye-opening and very insightful story, as well as our topic that I think more of us should be open to explore. So thank you for, you know, being open and being on this space to talk about this. I'm very grateful for you.
I'm very grateful for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I will be sharing your links down below on the description box later. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Ali. I appreciate you.
Of course. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good day.
And please have a good evening too. Yeah, and everyone watching, have a good day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are.
Bye.
Talking to you soon. See you.